In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look at ample amounts of moisture throughout a lot of the central and eastern states. Alongside this, it is just going to be overwhelmingly warm for the most part. There will be cold fronts in there, which is going to bring a lot of our storminess, severe weather, and thunderstorms overall. We're going to be discussing all of these things, but overall in the central and eastern states, it is going to be very, very warm here to start out May. I'm excited to announce that I just released a brand new vlog. Right as you're watching this video, it is available on my Ashton Blue channel. You can check it out on the top right corner of your screen, the pinned comment and description down below. We went to Florida, we went boating, we went to a Disney resort, we went all sorts of places. We went to Disney Springs, it was awesome, and we saw and actually encountered a very intense thunderstorm that hit us while we were boating, and we had to get out of there really quickly. Okay, we might get hit actually. Rachel, what's going on?
I don't know.
Oh, get us out of here! Check it out today. Subscribe to that channel, like I said, like the video and comment down below that video because it helps me out so much as I'm just beginning to grow that channel. It helps it get suggested to more people, which is very, very hard to do when you're first starting out. So that would mean the world to me if you guys would just go do those three things over on that channel. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive into things. We're taking a look at the precipitable water today, which is just going to give us a great idea of not only just the moisture in general in the atmosphere, but also just the potential precipitation that a lot of these areas are going to be dealing with. This just goes to show kind of how much precipitation can possibly form in certain areas and eventually fall on certain areas. But we're taking a look at this afternoon, and the big point that I want to hammer home is a lot of these areas from Texas eastward through the southeast and up the east coast are in for a big weekend and a really big start to the early portion of next week, Monday, Tuesday, where we are just going to have repetitive storminess in this area. And we can see these numbers, these values of the precipitable water are sky high in a lot of these areas, especially in the deeper south down here, but also for parts of the southeast and Appalachian Mountain Range and even areas west of there. In the west, typically things are less moist overall out west, but it is very, very dry in this case out there. Another thing that I want you to watch is this flow from the Gulf into the eastern and into the central states, where we're just seeing this moisture flow right in. We're going to have drier times, especially towards the middle of this model run, but at the end, we're going to see something big happen. So let's just move through it. Here is tomorrow. Again, just still tons of moisture in the eastern states. What's interesting here is we can tell that there is a little bit of a warm front, cold front dynamic happening here. You can really see the boundaries in this case. The cold, dry air is wrapping into this cold front boundary and really rushing into these very rich environments, and that is creating a ton of instability and thunderstorm activity in these parts. And then this warm front is pulling the moisture northward, so that's actually expanding northward there. Let's take it towards Sunday, and we see that cold front advancing further and further eastward. Obviously, where most of the low pressure is, we're getting some moisture pulled into that. But we can still tell that we have our cold front here, warm front up above. And again, Sunday will be another day with potential storms along the eastern states. Obviously, the deep south and south central states by this point have kind of slowed down and really, really, really dried up. But we are going to see them rebound, actually. So here's Monday, the 5th. We still see pretty high values of precipitable water up the east coast. We also see plenty of these values increasing throughout the deep south, as that is just on the upswing. And if you hear me kind of coughing or clearing my nose a little bit, I have had terrible allergies again today, but I can only miss so many days of videos. You know, I do have bills to pay, so I can't be missing all the time videos. Unfortunately, it's one of the very, very small downsides of doing YouTube is that I don't get sick days. So if I can't make a video, I can't make money. Really a bum deal, especially when you're dealing with something as repetitive as what I've been dealing with. But you know, it is what it is. Thankfully, we're into May, and I'm hoping my allergies do calm down here very, very soon. In Virginia, we could really use precipitation. I feel like the problem is that a lot of our pollen is already out of the trees. It's just not washing away. It's just sitting around, getting blown in the wind, blown into my nose. So I really am wishing for precipitation. We've had a very, very large lack of precipitation here, actually, for my hyper local area. Anyway, enough about me. Let's keep going. As we move towards Tuesday here, we see that there is another very rich area of moisture starting to build throughout the south central states like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Still, our values are decent here, and we're still dealing with precipitation along the eastern seaboard by Tuesday. We continue on, and we see that this area does fill out for the deep south and southeast with again, rather large values in here. And we keep going, and we see that surge up the east coast as some dry air moves in again. But right here at the end, I want you to take note of this. I'm going to replay it, but right here, first off, all of these values are increasing over the eastern states, but we can see this area right here is about to just explode into the central states. And this is far out. This is May 17th, so take it with a grain of salt. But if this model is correct, we could be in for serious heat and moisture if this rising motion from the Gulf comes true, because that is on the trajectory to move over the central states and spread eastward. This would bring some summer conditions, which obviously by this point we're 2 weeks away from meteorological summer at May 17th. So June 1st would be meteorological summer. So we're getting awfully close. So obviously it makes sense for us to start to see much more summer-like conditions. But still, this would be an explosive beginning to that type of pattern. Now, as we take a look at our actual storminess, again, it's all throughout the eastern states here, as we've kind of talked about. Saturday here, we see that low forming, where again, you have that cold front, and you have this warm front up here. It's interesting how the precipitable water was excellent at showing us where those frontal boundaries were, almost easier than this map to clearly see those frontal boundaries. Really, really cool stuff. We see as we move towards Sunday that storminess does spread mostly into the eastern states. Hopefully in southeastern Virginia, I'm seeing rainfall by this point. But what's crazy is I have seen maps like this. We've seen the models output this, and it seems like every little thunderstorm just dodges my area. It goes a little bit to the north, a little bit to the south, just never hits us. So we've been in a lull. There's a little dome over my house, I think, where storms don't want to hit. And as a weather lover, that obviously sucks. I've felt that way since I was a kid. But I think everybody that wants to see thunderstorms, wants to see snow, has felt kind of that way before. Let me know in the comments if you felt that way before. I've heard it before from people, but yeah, I've felt that way for a while. Looking towards Monday, we see that East Coast area, again, continuing to see this repetitive storminess even into Tuesday the 6th. And this is right around the point where, again, we see that humidity really, really return in the precipitable water to Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. So thunderstorms flaring up in that area. Some low pressure over the four corner states, even some snowfall there for the Colorado Rockies. Looking towards Wednesday, a lot of your thunderstorms are spreading further east in the deep south into states like Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee. Again, Wednesday the 7th. By Thursday the 8th, we're seeing the deep south really flourishing as far as precipitation. And then for Friday the 9th, it is mostly the East Coast. Same with Saturday on the 10th. East Coast is really the highlight area here. So a very similar system. Sunday the 11th, we do quiet down, and really for a lot of the time frames after the 10th, we do see there is a storm system in the northwest bringing some snowfall to the Sierra Nevada and Cascade Mountains there, but really dry east of there, and that continues on for a while here until we start to see a low forming around Friday on the 16th, right here. Also, again, that Gulf flow is moving right about like that, right at this point on this particular model. So we're going to start to see some really interesting stuff if this model would go further, which unfortunately it doesn't. This is as far as we get Saturday the 17th. We do have a low here, and we've saw the map before, so we know there's ample amounts of moisture about to flow into this system. This is 360 hours out, so I am very doubtful that things will, especially the fine details like what we've discussed, will actually pan out for this far out. At least precisely, right? We could have some similarities, but to see precisely this would be pretty crazy and uncommon. But it gives you an idea of the types of storms we could see if we get that Gulf flow really, really moving into the central and eastern states. Wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be good for many folks. Looking at the total precipitation, we do see rather large amounts throughout the south central, southeast, and all the way up the east coast areas. Also, the west is kind of picking up. I feel like the Northwest and the Rockies here are doing a lot better. Yeah, so looking at the anomalies here, we can tell that the West is neutral at worst. I mean, we're probably seeing more above than below out there. Also, the Rockies and Four Corner states doing a little bit better. The driest area is the Midwest and Central Plains here, where it is severely dry. But areas immediately to the south and east of that pocket are doing really, really well. And what's funny, everything equals out to normal, or at least very close to it every single year, which is incredible when we have disparities like this all the time. But just probably a month or two ago, we had this area seeing severe amounts of precipitation, just tons of precipitation, and it was rather dry throughout a lot of the deep south and east coast. So you see how it equals out. We're seeing the opposite now. So it all just somehow comes to normal. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. Looking at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks here, this is for day 1. So the rest of today, again, today's video is out late because of my allergies. I finally got it under control today, which is rare for me. Usually I have to, sleep a whole night and wake up the next morning to feel better, but I am here and we are doing this. But we have a general thunderstorm risk in lighter green areas. That is where we expect general thunderstorms. You could probably guess that in those areas, but they do get this wrong. Sometimes these thunderstorms are very, very tricky. There's a lot of dynamics at play and they're very explosive and just hard to predict. So heed every watch, warning, and advisory. Still, the darker green area there is your level 1 marginal risk, where we expect isolated severe weather. The yellow area being your level 2 slight risk, where we expect scattered severe weather. And then your orange area there from Texas up through the deep south into even Tennessee and Kentucky, that is going to be your level 3 enhanced risk, which is where we start to see things become a little bit more widespread typically. So a really bad day today. Day 2, things do calm down a little bit, but still some bad severe weather is expected. We have a really large general thunderstorm risk area, 3 different marginal risk areas in the darker greens, and then we do have a slight risk for the Carolinas through western Virginia and eastern West Virginia. Tongue twister there. Maryland, central Maryland into DC, and even south, central, and southeastern Pennsylvania, they're dealing with that slight risk for tomorrow on Saturday the 3rd. Looking at day 3, which will be Sunday on the 4th, we have 2 general thunderstorm risk areas and 2 marginal risk areas as of now. We do have 1 extended day to look at, and it's going to be day 4 for Monday on the 5th, and we do expect approximately or roughly a slight risk for areas of central and western Texas there. This translates again roughly to a slight risk. We will see what happens for Monday on the 5th. With all that being said, that's it for this video, guys. So be sure to subscribe. We upload almost every single day, even when things are not, doing too good. I try my best. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.